Okay, so let's imagine now that you've been to see one of these properties and you really like it and you want to buy it. So let's look at the next steps. In some countries, it's common then to make an offer to buy the property, a formal offer to say, I would like to buy this property for the price of whatever it might be. Does that happen in Turkey?
It is in our codes. The making an offer and getting an acceptance, and afterwards like having the contract. But in the practical life, I think it is just going through by the agents. But some of the agents are willing to sign a sort of like a reservation agreement, like an offer and acceptance letter.
Let's come back to that just in a minute. Okay.
So normally it is not like in every sale. We don't expect that to be happening.
So although the offer and acceptance process is there in the Turkish law, it's actually not used very much.
Not really used, or verbally just being used,
yes.
Not in written.
But important to understand that if you do make a written offer, and the other person accepts that offer, then that creates a contract between you. The offer you make isn't saying, well, I'm sort of interested in buying your property for the price of so much. What do you think? You're saying, yes, I will buy this property if you say yes.
Yeah, it is not a proper purchase agreement because this is a whole different story. Yes. But this will be like an offer and acceptance, and one of the party like it breaches that offer and acceptance, you might be looking for your like a damages due from that compensation. But compensation only works if you have a damage or loss.
Yes. Okay, so that exists, but it's not likely to be used. But if it is offered to you, if you're asked to do it, just be careful. Okay, the next one you talked about is the reservation contract. Now explain what a reservation contract is.
Reservation contract is mainly done by the estate agents. Basically, I think it is a gentleman agreement, I would say, to be used as the parties like a will to enter into this like a purchase and sale relation. So reservation doesn't really make any like a power over the property or ownership.
But one of these agreements will say something like, I agree to take this property off, the seller agrees to take this property off the market for say 14 days. And in return for that you pay a deposit of say 5,000 euros or 1,000 euros so that this property is provisionally sold.
Yeah, it is something like that. But as we discussed in other videos, the contract may not be binding before the courts because of the type.
In fact, when you do a legal study of these contracts, really they have almost no meaning at all, do they? Because the agent is signing it; he has no authority from the seller to sign it. I mean, but however, it is a gentleman's agreement. It does two things, doesn't it? It shows that you are serious about wanting this property. And it also probably means the estate agent is getting some of his commission secured because he's got the money.
And also, I think it is important for the agents as well because their commission will be due when parties are agreed for the sale.
Yes.
So this is sort of like a document that they will prove that the parties were agreed, so they can get the commission.
Yes. So if you're asked to sign a reservation contract, it is totally normal. It may not have a great deal of legal consequence, but it is a normal thing to do. And the main worry about it is not paying too much money.
No, deposit always has to be very low.
Yes. And what sort of figure would be normal here in Turkey for a 300,000 Turkish lira, $100,000 apartment?
Actually, it depends on the value, of course, like a 5% maybe, or just a 1%. So it depends on the value of the property. Why I'm saying do not pay too much, because in case of parties deciding not to go ahead, you need to recover your deposit back. So you have to be careful that it's something not really substantial for your budget.
Yes, and certainly somewhere between 1,000 euros and 5,000 euros for an expensive property. It's that sort of range, isn't it? You shouldn't be paying 10 or 20,000 euros on a reservation agreement.
No, you shouldn't. Because our process of sale is pretty smooth, so you should keep your payments until day.
And let's just be clear about this. If the deal doesn't go ahead, then you should get that money back.
Yeah.
Whether it's you who cancels or the seller who cancels.
Yeah. In some contracts, they're putting as a non-refundable deposit, but in the legal world, basically, as you know, we have a great saying of like an unjust enrichment.
Yes.
So if the other party doesn't have any damage or loss, so you can get your money back.
Yes. But again, in the real world, it's €1,000. It is not going to be worth the trouble of going to court to try to recover this money if the agent doesn't voluntarily repay it. So you have to be prepared to walk away from that €1,000 if the worst comes to the worst.
Yeah, and also I think you should be careful about who you are paying to.
Yes.
Because paying an agent is more safe, I would say, unless it is agreed that it's going to be kept as part of their commission if the sales falls. However, if you pay directly to the person who owns the property, and imagine that they just said, okay, we are not going ahead with the purchase, and they could sell it to a third party, and that person may not have any asset to recover.
Yes.
But estate agents, always they're in business, so it's easy to recover from an agent.
I can't imagine many estate agents wanting you to pay the reservation deposit direct to the owner, so it will usually be to the agent. But and of course, in most cases, you know, we're painting the bad side here. In most cases, this works just fine. You go ahead, you pay a reservation deposit, you then go ahead and sign a contract. There's no issue about it.
No issue.
And if for some reason you do cancel because the property has no title, for example, then you will get that money back from the agent without any problems. But if it goes wrong, then you usually just have to be prepared to walk away from that small deposit.
Yeah, it's going to be your choice, because sometimes the deposit amount is less than the legal fees.
Yes, exactly.